on grafting, and I'm going to do something on actually growing Plumerias from seed.
Oh.
So
Aloha everyone, thank you for coming out today. I want to just try and focus on the problems that people have initially, and they typically are with the root system, understanding your soil, and especially taking care when watering. Plumeria are a little finicky when it comes to watering. If they haven't had a chance to get some air to their roots, they're not ready for more water. You really want to let them dry out in between, especially when you're taking something new home. It may have just been watered and you're just so enamored with it that you want to give it some more. It's really important to monitor your moisture levels. You want to stay on a meter somewhere between 2 and 5 usually. If your soil's staying a little too wet, you may want to dry it out by adding some fresh soil in there. It's really one of the most important things with them is caring for their root system. It will help your plant thrive long term. Plumeria are trees. And so as trees, when they're put in a pot, it will affect their height. And they are very easy to upsize quickly. They want to get very tall, so if you keep them in pots, you can keep them a little shorter. It keeps the blooms down where you get to enjoy them. But they definitely thrive in the ground. You have a lot less chance of overwatering in the ground when the water can percolate out. And so your soil mix is very important. You see they're going to talk about some cactus mix here, and that has a good draining soil. I typically will use a pumice, and I add core, which core is a coconut, a ground coconut husk. And that helps retain the water, but it helps distribute it and help wick it through the soil and keep it from being accumulating in the center and getting you a little too wet. Any questions initially from people?
Do you add core to your cactus mix when you make your own mix for pots?
I tend to use a blue ribbon soil and then make my own cactus mix, but yes, if you're drying out a little too fast, you really have to look at your conditions, how warm you are, how hot you are, the sun location you put it in. There are a lot of things to consider. You want to, with a potted plant, pay attention initially to how long it takes for it to dry out. If you're drying out in 2 days and you water every 7, you're going to have a problem. So you'll want to add some more soil to it, maybe some core to help hold that moisture and get that plant on your watering schedule so that it doesn't get neglected a little bit because of it. You were going to ask a question?
Where do you say core?
The core, I'm not sure if they are offering it here yet.
I think I do.
Do you have the core?
Check with us, but we should have it. Yeah.
Their Kellogg's soils do offer a few that have core mixed in. It's really a really great seed starter, which Tom will talk about growing seeds too. But it really helps the moisture distribute through the pot and keep it a little more manageable. I had some questions that I brought with me from people. One of them is off-season care. Now, when you're coming into spring, you'll see leaves start opening up, and it's not until they get beyond 3 inches and up there that they're really going to start uptaking water from the soil. So you have to be real careful at the beginning of the season to not overwater because they're not using very much. Once they're in full growth mode, they could start using tons of water. Their root systems can grow very fast. You have to watch them for drying their soil out too fast. They're ready to upsize fast. Some of them thrive and just grow so fast you'll need to upsize them to just be able to maintain their moisture. There are also some pest problems that we have to deal with Plumeria. Mites are very common. There are a few different types of products to use, like neem oil or an insecticidal soap to help keep the bugs down. But generally, any problem you see on a leaf is easiest to resolve by removing that leaf, and you prevent it from spreading to the rest of your plants. If you have some kind of infestation, you really want to treat it. But if you just find one leaf, especially an old leaf, sometimes people are in a warm enough location that they will keep their winter leaves and they don't drop off on them. Well, those leaves are more susceptible to bugs going into the season because they've been out there longer. So you'll just want to remove anything if you see some problems starting to arrive, and they'll keep putting out more leaves for you. Where to buy? I definitely recommend to many people to buy from your local area. You can go on the internet and buy Plumeria, but if you're just starting out, you really want to pick something from your local area that you can just go out and get and work with. There's no such thing as a blue Plumeria, by the way, but you will see it for sale on eBay this year, last year, and in years to come. And unfortunately, there's nothing we've been able to do to get them to stop the frauding people. But you're definitely better off in the beginning buying local plants. You'll find much greater success. The celandine is a great variety to start with. It's one of the most common Plumeria for lei making, and thrives and grows so well and so fast that it's kind of like a geranium. You can't hardly hurt it. It'll grow really well for you. Some of the other varieties, some of the colors, they get a little more finicky. They'll want a little more heat. You have questions?
What was the name of that? What did you say? The first?
A celandine, and that's the common yellow with white.
Down in the front, kind of like that one.
Yeah, kind of like these right here. And they have a really strong fragrance. It's something about Plumeria that is really unusual is their flowers and the number of shapes and sizes, colors, and scents. They really go through a lot of